Hey everybody. Hope everybody's doing good. I know I am. It's a bit late on a Saturday, or no, not Saturday, Friday night. I'm leaving this weekend to go visit family. I'm really excited about it. Um, going to be visiting my cousin that did my channel art banner and, you know, a couple other people. Another notable person I'm going to be visiting is somebody that gave me some advice for what I'm going to talk about in the feel good segment. So yeah. Anyway, I hope everybody's doing okay. If not, let's work on that. Let's be okay together. Sorry that my videos are just that far apart. In getting ready for this trip, so many things have been, coming together at weird times. I think my last one was like early last month. It's been like 3 weeks about since my last video. Sorry about that, everybody that's, interested in seeing these duty calls. I mean, as much as I would love to be able to put more time into these, I just can't. And I really do try to, but I just can't get myself to sit in front of the camera or even sit down in front of the computer like this long enough to actually put together what I want to say. Which is weird for something that's not scripted. But, I mean, hey. Yeah, today's topics... I was bouncing back and forth between a couple different ones, but I've kind of narrowed it down to what I want to the ones I want to talk about, and the first one I want to talk about, and this is for a lot of people that suffer from depression, a lot of people that deal with negativity. Guilt. Guilt is a very, very powerful emotion. And it sucks. Because the second you think about something that you've done wrong, or the second that you think about something that you could have prevented but you didn't, it messes with your head. It fries you without you even realizing it. But there's a couple things to realize, especially when it comes to feeling responsible for things and blaming yourself for things. And there are a few ways that it comes about. If you're ever dreading, the precursor to guilt is always dreading that you're going to be getting something wrong. You're going to be doing something wrong. And the biggest thing that has been helping me lately is in my head, or even sometimes if I get the chance, I write it down on a piece of paper. I write down all of the things that I am trying to take care of, or all of the things that I would like to see taken care of. All right, and this is something that anybody could use, anybody can do. So what you want to do is you want to write down that list. You want to make a list of everything that you want to see handled. Anything that you feel you can claim even the smallest iota of responsibility for. I know for me, some of it includes work obligations. And I'll get to that in a minute. But I guess what you do is once you write down that list, the first thing is with whatever you wrote down with, scratch off anything that can be done by someone else. Anything that isn't just your responsibility. For example, when I'm cleaning up at work, it's a team effort. Not everything has to be done by one individual. So sometimes it'll just be, okay, the whole floor needs to be mopped, from one side of a job site to another. But you're so busy that you're so busy with another responsibility you have that you don't get around to it. Well, sometimes you got to think about, well, hey, there are other people that work, right? My employer actually opened my eyes to this. I'm not the only one that works there. I'm not the only one responsible for things. And yes, I am still working on realizing that, because of something I'll talk about in a later video. It's one of the topics that I kind of debated talking about tonight. But yeah, it's team effort means not one person, or not any single person has to take on all that responsibility and get everything done. And if it doesn't get done, it doesn't have to just be on you. Especially when you're doing something that maybe you are directly responsible for, which has been the case for me in a few events. So I mean, when it comes to those items, cross those off the list, because on the off chance that they don't get done, it doesn't have to just be on you. You don't have to take the entire weight of the world on your shoulders. And that's actually advice from the same employer that gave me advice from from what I talked about in I think the last video. So yeah, once those are off the list, go down that list again and say, okay, items that other people need to help me with. That's a little bit more imperative. Stuff that you and another person have to do. That's a little bit more important. But if the other person doesn't do their part, then the job can't be done. You gotta forgive yourself sometimes if something goes on that is somebody else's cause. I mean, things can go bad once in a while. That doesn't make it your fault. Claim responsibility for what is yours. But you don't have to feel that level of remorse over something that somebody else does. And I'm not saying look for a reason to blame the other people. Alright? In either of those two situations, blaming others is not the first step. Analyzing the situation is. Look at it. Accept it if it's your responsibility. Or if it's not, let yourself go. Okay, just let it be. If you do your part, then it's not your fault. And after that, all that's left is dividing up the tasks that you're directly responsible for. Prioritize that, Menial tasks that are, well, If I don't do it right now, I can get to it later. Cross those off the list. Because there are some things where it's like, yeah, they're not as important. They need to get done, but they're not as important. And just take it easy on yourself, you know? Take it a little bit at a time. After that, all what's left are the important things, the big things. And this is something that a lot of people can dread. You know, the big things, what is the most important. But there's something about that. What I mean is that there are going to be times when something important comes your way, and you've got to handle it. And for some reason or another, whether or not you just overlook it, or if you mistake it for something else, or whatever, the biggest thing is that you make sure you forgive yourself. Not everything that's done wrong is done on purpose. 9 times out of 10, it's because of a mistake. It's because of an accident. All you can do is just forgive yourself. You deserve forgiveness for mistakes, for accidents, everything like that. You're worth forgiving yourself. I mean, there are some things where there are conscious decisions involved. And guilt can last with that because of something that, you know, you thought once, but you found out you were wrong. I mean, I'm the first one to admit when I'm wrong. I am not too proud to say, you know, that I don't do anything wrong. I'm the inverse of that. I will, like so many others, I actually look for a reason to say, okay, it's my fault. Whether it is or isn't, there's no reason that you can't be forgiven. There's no reason that you shouldn't forgive yourself. Take responsibility. Do something to make up for it. If possible. It's not always possible. But, I mean, if you put forth the effort to make up for it, then there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So I hope that those that do feel guilt, for whatever reason, if it's something you did wrong, own up to it. If you were wronged by someone, depending on what they've done, you know, you don't have to hold on to that grudge either. And if you see someone that is feeling that level of guilt over something, make sure they realize that, I mean, did they consciously do it? Was it intentional? Was it malicious? Was it an accident? And just let them know that it's okay for them to forgive themselves. I won't claim to be a religious man, but every time I see scriptures about, whatever's up there, I can safely say that they'll forgive you even long before you forgive yourself. There's nothing wrong with forgiving yourself. Letting yourself continue to hurt, that's different. Those are words I actually needed to hear recently, and a close friend of mine, a very good friend, said those words to me. If you mess up and something goes wrong, you don't have to beat yourself up over it. You don't have to hurt over that. And he's right. You don't. There are going to be times when it still does. There are going to be times when it feels really big when it's not. Just don't be unwilling to forgive yourself. And don't be unwilling to accept forgiveness either. I've been down that road. It doesn't turn out very pretty. So, anyway, to the feel-good topic, because we all want to feel a little bit better now. I know I do, because I still want to remain really stoked about this trip. One of the people I'm going to be visiting on this trip is going to be my surviving grandfather. My grandfather that is still around. And I didn't talk about him in the feel good section of the last video when I talked about heroes, even though I probably should have, because he is one of my heroes. He is a really good teacher, but I wanted to save it for when I finally covered this topic. I wanted to cover learning. I love when I learn things. I love when I find a way to apply things to each other. And one of my grandfather's greatest sayings, greatest philosophies is, if you can read, or if you're willing to read, you can figure out any solution. You can learn so much just by being able to read and be willing, just by being able to read and being willing to understand what you read. And those are words I live by. One of my favorite books, or one of my favorite readings, is The Art of War. I have it right up here on my desk, right up here next to me, and every time I read it, I end up learning something new. I end up finding a new way to apply it, not just a strategy like it's supposed to, but even in things in life. One of the biggest things about it is know your enemy and know yourself, and in 100 battles, no danger. It means that if you know what you're capable of, and you know what you're up against, and you know everything about what you're up against, you've gotten almost no chance of losing. You got almost no chance of not being able to figure it out. So yeah, it's gonna be like that. You just be willing to learn. I do, and Every time I figure something out, it's like, oh yeah. And you can just apply it to so many things. You can, I can apply things like my love for technology. All right, I apply that to my career choice. I'm trying to get it. I'm trying to get my career in IT going. I do, you know, I do different things for my friends, and I love doing it. And I read all kinds of different things about it, and I look up the newest specifications on things. And without a willingness to learn, I'd have fallen behind on that stuff long ago, like 10 plus years ago. But because I'm still willing to learn about it, I'm able to keep going. So yeah, everybody, just no matter what, still be willing to learn. Even if it's something you've never even heard of, or something that you've never even thought that you would ever be able to have fun with. Be willing to learn anyway. Because you have no idea how fun something could turn out to be. At all. It could be something that seems totally boring to you now. But you'll pick up a book on it, you'll read through, and it's like, hey, you have your eyes open to a whole new world. Just never be afraid to learn things and apply them. Because it's an absolutely glorious feeling when you do. It really is. Just getting to be about 22 minutes into this video, and I've still got to get packing. It's 11 o'clock right now, so I'm gonna end things here. So just remember this: forgive yourself. Know when something is your responsibility. The if and when that it's your responsibility. And never be afraid to learn. You'll be glad. It's a great feeling when you figure out something new. When your eyes are open to something new. I hope everybody's doing okay now. So, I know for a fact, like for the next week and a half, I won't be recording anything or putting anything up. It'll probably be when I come back. I'll be back around maybe about 2 weeks from now. I might be able to do another one because I'll be caught up with things. I'll be back home and I'll be rested and ready. So we'll see how that goes. But until then, keep being okay, everybody. And I hope to come home and see everybody doing well. Thank you guys for watching. Let's all be okay.